Hello.
Hello.
Hello and good morning to all. On behalf of Center for Advanced Agriculture, Science and Technology for Climate Smart Agriculture and Water Management, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit Rauri and Brain Smart Solution Pune, welcome you all in the one-day national symposium on decoding agritech towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. Most respected Dr. K.P. Viswanatha sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit Rauri, will chair this function. We have been blessed upon with our keynote speaker, Dr. Abdullah Maharuki, CEO Industrial Innovation Center, Oman, Mr. Prashant Pansare sir, Managing Director, Implement Group, Founder and CEO, Rubiscope, and Mr. Makarand Pandit sir, Principal Trainer and Managing Director, Technorites PVT Limited, Pune. And also special presence of Dr. S.R. Gadak sir, Director of Research and Director of Extension Education, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri. Also, we have with us Dr. Prabhat Kumar sir, National Coordinator, Center for Advanced Agriculture Science Technology, National Agricultural Higher Education Project, New Delhi, and convener of this symposium. Also, we have with us Dr. A. L. Farhande sir, Dean and Director of Instruction, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri, and convener of this symposium. Also, we have with us Dr. H. D. Gorantiwar sir, Head Department of Agricultural Engineering, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri, and Principal Investigator of Center for Advanced Agriculture Science and Technology for Climate Smart Agriculture and Water Management Project, and convener of this symposium. We have with us Dr. M. G. Shinde sir, Professor of Soil and Water Conservation Engineering, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri, and Co-Principal Investigator of Center for Advanced Agricultural Science and Technology Project, and Organizing Secretary of this symposium. And we with us Engineer Avinash Deshmukh sir, Director, Brain Smart Solutions Pune, and Joint Organizing Secretary of this symposium. All the assistant professor, associate professor, heads of the departments, associate deans of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri, and participants from all across country, farmers, Center for Advanced Agriculture Science and Technology members, welcome you again. Now I request to Dr. M. G. Shinde sir, Organizing Secretary of the symposium and Co-Principal Investigator, to brief preamble of CAST Climate Smart Agriculture Water Management Project. Sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sevak, and very good morning to all of you. Now, I think all the dignitaries, they are with us. So I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to say hello to our experts, Mr. Dr. Abdullah from Oman, then Engineer Makarand, Engineer Avinash Deshmukh, Engineer Pandit, and of course, Dr. Prabhat Kumar.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to this program. And good morning, Abdullah Markarji from Oman. And welcome all the guests. And Dr. Prabhat Kumar, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you? Hope you are keeping fine.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's still fine. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Again, good morning and very warm welcome to this brief symposium online. So for the information of the experts and for the information of the participants, this online symposium is being organized through one very ambitious project which is sponsored by World Bank and which is supported through a National Agriculture Higher Education Project of Indian Council of Agriculture Research. And the very national coordinator, Dr. Prabhat Kumar, is also amongst us today for this symposium. So warm welcome to National Coordinator Prabhat Kumar. This project, Center for Advanced Agriculture Science and Technology, with the theme Climate Smart Agriculture and Water Management, is being implemented at Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rauri since last 2 years. This is the third year or the final year of this project. And we are conducting a lot of activities, innovative activities through this project. One of the objectives of this project is to build the capacity of the faculties, scientists, and students, and also the farmers about the about the challenges posed by the changing climate in Indian agriculture. So all of us, we agree that the climate is changing, and our students, our farmers, our scientists, they must be ready to face these challenges with the help of new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, IoTs, all these things. So we are conducting innovations with the help of all these recent technologies, and we are also conducting the capacity building through continuous trainings. Before this COVID-19 pandemic, we conducted the trainings in-house by inviting the experts and the participants. But after this pandemic and the lockdown, we immediately switch over to the distance or the online learning and teaching mode. So we are almost about to complete 50 this online trainings now. So it is quite a huge task. And then we have, as a part of our second objective, we have started new courses in our regular MSc, PhD, and MTech programs. And these courses are, of course, related to different aspects of climate smart agriculture and water management. We are also starting 1 year postgraduate diploma in climate smart agriculture and water management, which is module based, and for which there are experts from partnering institutions like Washington State University, Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, IMI, and many institutes of national importance from India. Then we have also adopted a few villages near our jurisdiction of the university in Ahmednagar district, in Pune district, and we are implementing these technologies in these villages. Then another thing is that we are also developing some innovative technologies like IoT-based irrigation scheduler, IoT-based pump controller, then IoT-based infiltrometer, hydraulic conductivity meter, and such other things. And all these technologies will be foolproof within the next few days. So with this brief introduction, I request Engineer Dr. Dhenge to proceed further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Avinash Deshmukh, sir, Joint Organizing Secretary of this symposium and Director, Brain Smart Solution from Pune, to brief proposed collaboration with MPKV Rauri for incubation and startup. Sir, please.
Namaskar. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, KP Vishwanath, Sir, Honorable Director of Instructions, Dr. A.L. Faramde, Sir, Honorable Director of Research, Dr. Gadak, Sir, National Coordinator for CAST, Dr. Prabhat Kumar, Sir, Honorable Faculty Head, Agriculture Engineering, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith, Dr. S.D. Gorantiwar, Sir, Honorable M.G. Shinde, Sir, Honorable Dr. Abdullah Mahruki, Sir, and my friends, Honorable Prashant Pansare and Makarand Pandit, and all the dignitaries and participants of this symposium. A warm welcome to all of you for this symposium. I really thank the university team for arranging this symposium at such a short notice, and they have shown an excellent dynamism in getting all the acts together for this particular symposium. It was way back somewhere in 1999 that 3 pass-outs of this university, one agricultural engineer and 2 agricultural graduates, postgraduates from this university, had started an agricultural venture in Dhulia district. And they had big dreams in their eyes, and they started off well, and they really put in a lot of hard work. But unfortunately, maybe around in 8 months, their startup could not succeed, and the startup, you can say, died at that point of time. And that's when one of those people, one of those 3 agricultural graduates, realized that there has to be a need, or there has to be some support system for people who are dreaming to do something in the field of agriculture. And one of those 3 graduates is right now talking to you. I'm Avinash Deshmukh, an agricultural engineer, pass out from MPKV Rauri College of Engineering, MPKV Rauri. So it really feels great to connect back to the university with such a long-standing history of thinking something to do in the field of agriculture, and for the fraternity in the field of agriculture across the country, those who really want to do something in the field of agriculture. Right now, MD Shinde sir mentioned that a university is doing a lot of things nowadays, and it has been doing all these things for past few years in the field of technology-oriented agricultural research and many other applications which farmers and the agricultural entrepreneurs would love to actually work upon, and it's very impactful for them. Basically, when we say when I felt at that point of time, being an agricultural graduate, that I need to do something in the field of agriculture, but unfortunately the initial phases were not really supportive for a number of reasons, and we had to get back into some other tracks of life in order to sustain our lives. But somewhere deep within inside, we always had this desire that we need to do something for this country, because our country is a country of farmers, a country of agriculturists, and we cannot merely keep on saying this in newspapers and public forum that India is an agriculture-based economy, wherein the contribution of agriculture in the GDP of the country is not really that great. So this need of a startup support system has been strongly felt for quite some time now, and you all know that for last few years, when India is gearing up to become world leader, and it has been accelerated in last few years, we all know that we have huge advantage of our own indigenous technologies right there in every nook and corner of this country. Unfortunately, this has not been brought on the world stage. And who else was it better to now bring it on the world stage other than technology? Technology has come to the rescue of this country more than anybody else in this entire world, in this entire universe, I would say, because our country has been one of the fastest adapting country for as far as technology is concerned. On one side, we are known to be Jugadu people, and it's always for all those good reasons. On the other side, we are the people who have been adapting to technology very fast. And so when we talked about this need of an technology-fired incubation center to be established in university like Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit, I'm really happy, and I was a bit of surprised as well the way university people have responded, the way Gorantiwar sir, the way MG Shinde sir welcomed us with an open arms. Okay, this is a fantastic idea. And Niti Aayog of Government of India has already rolled out this plan of establishing technology-fired incubation centers across the country, and already few centers are already functional. And the focus of this innovation is mostly technology-based innovations and startups, and most of the focus amongst the various areas is definitely going to remain in the field of agriculture, in the field of education, and in the field of healthcare. If you see the list of areas which the Niti Aayog has listed out for priority sector areas for innovation, agriculture comes at number 1. So that's how importance of agriculture is, and I need not really stress more on that factor. So establishing an incubation center which is technology based, which establishes an ecosystem which will provide not only support to the ideas which have already come up from the various rural parts of the country, but also it will provide an ecosystem that can trigger ideating, that can trigger critical thinking, that can trigger problem solving for the people who really want to do some sort of work for the country. They want to do some innovation, they want to do some service to the nation as a whole, and uplift the overall society. So when we discussed this, university has really accepted, or rather, welcomed this idea, and they said that yes, we can definitely think about this. And I'm glad that this symposium, which has been part of this overall discussion, has come up so fast, and we are going to discuss today what all technology can bring to agriculture, and how people like me and people like hundreds and thousands of agricultural alumni are going to get benefited out of this. So I feel ki companies like Intellement who are into data science based technologies which can trigger and which can come to the rescue of lot many problems of agriculture industry or farming as such, is Prashant is the right person, Makrand is the right person to help us out today to understand all these things. So I think from my side, this was all about, talking to university and talking to all of you about the need of such kind of technology based incubation center at the university campus. And I'm sure people who are participating in this symposium or some or the other way definitely interested to do something in the field of agriculture, innovations for solving some or the other problems in the field of agriculture. So I'm sure MG Shinde sir and Gorantevar sir will agree to my view that all those people who are wishing to do something should mail to university what kind of support do they expect from the university. And I'm sure university will definitely get back to them with some plan of action for supporting all these ideators, all these innovators in the field of agriculture. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to all of you. And I hand over to Denge sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request to Dr. H.D. Gorantevar sir, co-convener of this symposium and principal investigator, to brief preamble about the national symposium and welcome and introduce of today's keynote speakers. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dhenge. The chairman of today's online national symposium on decoding agritech towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is being jointly organized by the Center for Advanced Agricultural Science and Technology and Climate Smart Agriculture and Water Management, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rahuri, under National Agricultural Higher Education Project of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi, and BrainSmart Solutions, Pune. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rahuri, Dr. K.P. Vishwanatha, esteemed expert speakers of today's symposium, Dr. Abdullah Al-Maharuki, Engineer Prashant Pansare, Engineer Makrand Pandit, the National Coordinator of CAST, that is Center for Advanced Agricultural Science and Technology, Dr. Prabhat Kumar, our Director of Research, Dr. S.R. Garak, our Director of Instructions and Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Dr. L. Frande, then our entire organizing team, including Dr. M.G. Shinde and Engineer Avinash Deshmukh, all the participants, students, and faculties. First of all, I thank you, Engineer Avinash Deshmukh, for briefly pointing out our future collaborative areas. And we also perfectly agree with you that there is a lot of scope for developing the skills, including the innovations, and proceeding towards with the agricultural innovation further. We also agree with you that there are so many technologies which are available in our country, and we need to explore those technology. With this view, one of the objectives of our project means we did also something to identify the indigenously developed technologies and then built upon those technologies. We also have started this endeavor, and probably this will supplement to our collaborative activities as well. Thank you very much, Engineer Avinash. The theme of today's symposium, I think, is quite right. Decoding Agritech towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay? And I think all of us know that agriculture accounts more than 60% of the aggregate employment in India, and this is quite huge. And hence there is a golden opportunity for agriculture as a business to flourish in the post-pandemic scenario particularly. Now, as they say, food can never go out of business. Okay, so it is possible for any other commodity which can go out of business at any time, but food never actually. Okay, optimizing the end-to-end value chain is one of things that poses an exponential growth opportunity in this segment. The same reason why large-scale technologies intervention can no longer be overlooked in this area. High-end technology like GIS, blockchain, artificial intelligence, remote sensing, data analytics, and various Internet of Things devices can no longer be alienated. Dr. M.G. Shinde already pointed out that we already started the work on Internet of Things technologies for precision agriculture and precision water management as well. And we have included all these high-end technologies, including GIS to blockchain and AI, in our course curricula, especially for postgraduate diploma. And also we have strengthened courses for MSc, MTech, and PhDs on these high-end technologies. In fact, Decoding Agritechnology, this symposium is aiming towards providing an insight into how best India can tap into new age innovations with our long-standing efficient agricultural practices, and particularly with an aim of achieving self-reliance. So this is the objective of this symposium, and we don't want to limit our activities only up to the organizing symposium, but we are taking this ahead as well, as pointed out by Engineer Avinash Deshmukh, just to explore the possibility of establishing joint innovation and incubation center under this NAHEP umbrella at Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith, Rahuri. Okay. For this symposium, we have three esteemed speakers, and I would like to take this opportunity to introduce them briefly. First is Engineer Prashant Pansare. Engineer Prashant Pansare is mechanical engineer and a triple MBA by education, an innovative at heart and entrepreneur by profession. Prashant is a known name in the field of data science and analytics industries. Many of us who have joined this particular symposium, they already may be knowing Prashant Pansare and his profile. Currently, he is the managing director at Intellement Group and chief executive officer at Rubiscape Labs. Under his dynamic leadership, both his companies have been recognized with many awards and accolades. He has been part of Niti Aayog as well, which is a government of India's planning commissions. And he also takes active part in different activities of this planning commission and also think tank. He has been a speaker and mentor to young entrepreneurs and startups. Prashant is also part of Maharashtra Chief Minister Digital Transformation Council. Great, Prashant. Prashant, we welcome you on this occasion. Our second esteemed speaker is Engineer Makarand Pandit. Engineer Pandit is the principal trainer at Managing Director of Technorites Private Limited. He is an electronics engineer by education and has completed his master's in marketing management. He is an award-winning speaker, technologist, design thinker, and trainer as well. He is currently also serving as a visiting faculty at Flame University and member of Board of Studies of English Department at Ferguson College, Pune. So we already had interaction with Engineer Makarand Pandit, and we welcome you, Mr. Pandit, for this national symposium.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our third esteemed speaker is Dr. Abdullah Al Mehruki, who is Chief Executive Officer of Industrial Innovation Center, Oman, and which are conducting so many activities. Parallelly, in fact, we are also conducting one international training on urban farming, and we also invited one expert speaker from Oman for this urban farming, and we were really delighted to know how Oman is working on automation in hydroponics, aquaponics, and aeroponics. Dr. Abdullah earned his double measures BSc with honors in the soil and crop sciences from the University of North Wales, United Kingdom in 1997, and completed his PhD in 2004 from the University of Reading, United Kingdom in the field of biotechnology and environmental sciences. Okay. He worked as researcher and technician at Sultan Qaboos University from 1988 to 2007, and as director for scientific research and technological development center, as well as assistant professor in the environmental sciences at the University of Nizwa from 2007 to 2010. He decided to transform his profession by taking the challenge in innovation at the Research Council, where he worked as consultant and director of innovation from 2010 to 2015. Currently, he is holding the post of Chief Executive Officer of Industrial Innovation Center. We profusely welcome Dr. Abdullah for, in fact, agreeing to deliver your thoughts during this symposium. And we would also like to collaborate with you on this agri-innovation and also establishing the innovation center in our university. We would also like to welcome chairman of today's function and honorable vice chancellor of our university, Dr. KP Vishwanatha, though he's chairman and we consider himself as our own. Recently, means yesterday, he received the most dedicated vice chancellor award for excellence and leadership in education. We heartily congratulate you, sir, and we really value your leadership which you provided us, and this also in fact encourage and inspire us. Thank you very much, sir, for chairing this particular occasion. Okay. Our national coordinator, Dr. Prabhat Kumar, in fact, he's the national coordinator of Center for Advanced Agricultural Science and Technology at the national level. Before that, he was also national coordinator of component 2 of National Agricultural Higher Education. And his timely guidance really helped us in organizing different events and different programs. We welcome Dr. Prabhat Kumar, you as well. Finally, I would like to welcome all the officers of the university, respected Director of Research, Dr. S.R. Gadak, respected Director of Instruction, Dr. L. Farande, and all the heads of the department, associate deans, students, and faculties who joined this program, including, of course, Engineer Avinash Deshmukh. He has really taken lead in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Madam, just a minute. For the information of Honorable Vice Chancellor and all the dignitaries, our college, College of Dr. Annasab Shinde College of Agriculture, Engineering and Technology, it has got very vibrant alumni association and network. Yesterday night, I was speaking to one of the alumnus at 11 o'clock about this today's symposium. And then he's Mr. Nilesh Khade. He's also present for this symposium. And then he told me that he's serving in Oman in a government organization. And he's a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Abdullah Maruki. He's a very resourceful person in agriculture innovations in Oman. So he just requested him at 11 o'clock in the night whether he can be present for this today's symposium. And he immediately agreed for this. So on behalf of our Vice Chancellor and all the faculties of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rahuri, I very wholeheartedly thank Dr. Abdullah Maruki for accepting our invitation and being present as keynote speaker for today's symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Prabhat Kumar, sir, National Coordinator, Caste NHP, New Delhi, and convener of this symposium to brief about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's a pleasure always to join the Rahuri family. And it's my own extended family. For last 1.5 years, we are working in a very close association. And these person become, just like a family member. Let me extend my gratitude to them. Dr. Gurantiwar, Dr. A.L. Farande, DI, Dr. S.R. Gadak, DR, and Dr. Denge, Dr. M.G. Sinde, Dr. Gurantiwar. Really, it's a feedback to me as an NC, and I have no hesitation to share. This particular center is doing very well. Yesterday, we had a midterm review. That is a biggest review for us. That is a sort of mission from World Bank. Though it was on virtual table, but still we highlighted the work of the Rahuri and it was applauded since the award met there. So again, it is a congratulation to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, because just I come to know he got a leadership award. It's a very timely given to him, because for last 1.5 years, I am seeing he has been a perennial source for the whole family. And that is said in the Hindi, Kulguru, he really deserves such type of, accolade and award. A very worthy Vice Chancellor of University, Dr. K.P. Vishwanatha. It's said, indeed, pleasure for me to share a topic which is very pertinent today, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And if you see today we have assembled here, and let me again, I'll just, before to topic, my experts, I will forget their name. Engineer Avinash Deshmukh, just I have heard, Brain Smart Solution. Abdullah Ali, as it is said, is a renowned person in Oman for the industrial innovation and the CEO. And Prasad Pansare, MD, Intelliman. As a mechanical engineer turned, serving in agriculture, again, such type of calling people, that is the beauty of the Rahuri, because most of the time they call their alumni and they show other students to follow their footpath. That is very important. And that's why ALU Connect, we have developed a broader canvas to connect the alumni just for inspiration, aspirations, hand-holding, helping alma mater. So that's good. And Makarand Pandit, that is from Technorites, electronic engineer, turned himself in the market. So basically what actually this message is giving, when you see the profile of these people, every student, I have seen more than 300 people have joined. Let me again congratulate the organizer. A big, participation is there. But once you are, listening these profiles, can you ignite yourself? Yes, the inertia line. If you train up yourself up to such level, the basic skill, then you can fly, you can change, you can mold. Resilience become very high once you are having that particular skill. Now, today we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. This subject is very core to me. And once Dr. Gorantiwar asked me, I said, okay, I'll speak over this. And the time allotted to me is 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, giving the whole, thoughts of the Atmanirbhar Bharat is difficult, but I will try to encapsulate it. Actually, I was thinking in the morning whether the Atmanirbhar Bharat is a new phenomena or reinventing of the wheel. When I took my tea in the morning, I put this question to myself. Now I am narrating what I thought in the morning to this August gathering. So I divided this in the ancient India and medieval India and modern India. So if you see in ancient India, it was a saying. Saying was, Go Krishi Vadijam. So basically, Go means that is a cow, and Krishi agriculture, Vadijam means the enterprise, means the business. That was an integral part of the Indian rural fabric. And at that time, here my speakers are there, learned speaker. If you see this time's economic survey, and if you read the past of the history, you will come to know from 1 AD to 1000 AD, the share of Indian, economy in the world GDP was more than 20%. Then that gave a thought, what happened wrong? So that's why I use this word, reinventing of the whole. So basically, when I was again reading Dadabhai Nauroji, the theory of, it's a very famous theory you might have studied in 1867, it was proposed, drain of wealth. Basically, that gave an insight to me. And I chosen for today's my deliberation, village as a unit. And it was well said by my previous speaker. Somebody told me that is a Avinash, the country of farmers. It's a country of farmers and country of villages. 6 lakh villages are there. And when drain of wealth I studied, what gave this insight, whether the same thing is happening today in today's concept with the rural and urban area. 46% in Indian economy, the rural economy is playing a role. If see the drain of wealth, there was nothing like that. Somebody was taking, my buildings, my stone and my something. It was simply whatever the profit was generated at that time, it was not wisely reinvested for the infrastructure. Can we think on that line? What type of infrastructural requirement is there in the rural India from where 46% money is coming? So basically keeping in this view, that gave a clear-cut picture to me. And then I started thinking how that fabric can be regreened, at village level. From where some sant said, the village is he wrote in the Hindi, Swalamban ka adhishthan, means it is an enterprise of self-reliance. Self-reliance without thinking the villages. Self-reliance, we cannot think about the self-reliant India. And let me congratulate Rahuri again. Recently, Dr. Gorantiwar and his team developed a contingency plan for the village level. And I come to know that that's a very happy news. I'm sharing here in the house. The NABARD is going to adopt it. It is again a very good service through the caste and through the Rahuri and under the leadership of the dynamic Vice Chancellor, that my thought is chipping in there. Then modern India, if you see, that was again, artisans were working at that time, fabric was there, self-independence was there. When the modern India came, at that time, the whole fabric has been broken and the production and consumption centers, if you see, totally distorted, no balance is there. Now, if we are talking about the urbanization, urbanizations are the island of the, consumption, not a production. So production centers are our villages. How to develop that bridge and make our villages self-reliant. Here, for my younger generation, sometimes they can think everything we can produce. They can ask the question, and the question should be, because questioning sign of inquisitive mind and fertile mind. That question came to my mind. It's not like that. Every country has its own potential in something. We cannot make one village cannot be just like a dependent, cannot take anything from outside. But there the word is lying, that is a trade balance. So our potential should be utilized and our export and import balance should be, zero. It should not be deficit. It should be balanced. That is a self-reliant India we are talking about. If you see in agriculture, people have talked this innovation. So as basically, if you see this innovation is a pillar for the self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat. And innovation-led agricultural growth, as it is said in the past, it is a backbone for today's thought what our Honorable Prime Minister is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, and it can be achieved with the 3 S. And these 3 S is speed, scale, and sustainability. That is the need of the hour. And the road to Atmanirbhar Bharat goes, again I am telling, it is from the villages. Now, I would not be, honest if I am not sharing 7 Makar. In Hindi, 7 Makar, it was given by Biswas Saraiya to think about any economical infrastructure. And Makar means that is a M. 7 M's he has discussed. And these M were, first was man, material, money, motive power, management, market, and machine. If you see all 7 M, you can put again divide into 2. How can address this issue? That is the intellectual capital that is required at a village level. And the second is that the physical asset, means that infrastructure. So in both the cases, Government of India is coming forward for the intellectual capital, that is a skilling. That's why a skill ministry is there. Now it's in need of power to weave that. And once our villagers are skilled, then we can talk about the intellectual capital lying there. That is a main driver in today's knowledge economy to achieve any self-reliance. And the second one is a physical infrastructure, where in our Honorable Prime Minister very recently announced 1 lakh crores investment in agri-infra. And that too coupled with the MSME for the industry. Now, for the self-reliance, if we're talking, we need to convert the mindset of the people, not to restrict themselves up to the production, but they have to go 1 step forward. That is a value addition and minimal processing. I'm not telling every village should have a industry. Minimal processing. So that will give them more dividend what they are giving in the raw form. And second, when the clusters of the minimal processing industries or small processing industries are established in the rural area, that will become a vehicle for the employment generation. That is also very important, because if you see in a GDP, if 13 and 14% now agriculture is there, the share, but the reliance over agriculture is still high, that is a 56 to 58%. So we have to think on that line. And it is now I'll not talk because I have gone through the biodata they have given. I'm keen to listen them because we all talk about, but 5 things I'll talk what can change the agricultural landscape that will lead to Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is a digital innovation first, then climate risk management strategies, and developing startup ecosystem. And another one is a farmer producer organization and water management initiative. These 5 points, what I assess after my mining and my own experience traveling across India, these very 5 points, if we can address at a grassroots level, that is was said by, I think, Dr. Garantivar, grassroots innovations, that is a one buzzword, but we have to reach and disseminate our technology at that level. And I'm not going to talk about technology disseminations, what are the problems, but here today I am giving a very motivative lecture, and to the youth particularly, how they can think on that, my point, cluster making. And my dear friend, in agriculture, collectivization, that has enormous power. Any success story, if you see, of any startup, any person, any alumnus of your university, if you see in the center, success lying with the collectivization. So that's why these FPOs are promoted nowadays, and they are coming well, and government is trying to boost up from the financial flow and fuel it and attract the youths for the entrepreneurship. And today, again, I'm very much thankful and congratulating Rahuri. I always saw that they used to call the industry people, successful people, so that we can motivate our student. And every student is having that seed. An enabling environment is needed, and you people are trying to provide that environment. And as a NC, my vision is, my spec is trying to see few seed should germinate and become an entrepreneur, because that is one of our indicator in the cost to sensitize people, and they can take decision, because economics is a very important in the human life to take the decision. When the cert purchasing depends on your, pocket, whatever money you are having in your pocket. So basically, if we are showcasing them, such successful entrepreneur, sometimes that aspirations may come, and with the knowledge, sprinkling of the knowledge and the policy, knowing the policy, it may germinate. And I hope India need now agri-entrepreneur to make the country self-reliant. Thank you very much, Dr. Gorantiwar and whole team and Honorable Vice Chancellor, for giving me this opportunity to share my Maulik Chintan, that is my basic thoughts. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request to today's keynote speaker, Dr. Abdul Al Maharuki, sir, CEO, Industrial Innovation Center, Oman, to deliver a lecture.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Shendi, for inviting me, and I feel honored to be among this group of excellent experts. And I think sharing experience between Oman and India is very crucial. And this is why now in IIC we have been always trying to hire some experts from India, so we can capitalize and benefiting from knowledge sharing and technological advancement in both countries. Let me share with you a little bit about what is happening in Oman. Now, basically in Oman, agriculture is split into two dimensions. We have got open field agricultural systems. In early 1990s, we started to have or to introduce agriculture in closed environment. And this is basically, we're talking about greenhouses. And now in open fields in Oman or even in closed environment, the challenge is always excess heat. As you know, Oman is a very hot country. It is arid and semi-arid. Water shortage is the biggest problem in Oman, and we really try to capitalize on every single drop of water. So now, maybe one of the best options we have is really to capitalize better on closed environment. And this is where now we're looking at the greenhouses and also now the new technology of indoor plantation. We're still having a lot of problems facing agriculture also in closed environment. And this is because you keep growing season after season in continuation. And this is why now you'll be having a lot of problems associated with pest and disease. And also the use of water for the cooling pads is consuming a lot of water in Oman and also consuming a lot of electricity. So now this is where we try to benefit better from industrial innovation. Industrial innovation is a center that is being created to add value and to transform the added value from all possibilities in Oman regarding or related to industry. And what I like about today's talks is the catchy words we're talking about, or they have been mentioned frequently in the talk today, related to technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, knowledge sharing, sustainability. I think those are very important and very crucial keywords that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about agriculture. Now, again, when we talk about agriculture around the world, from my exposure, the farmer is benefiting the least. People in the middle and the mediators and the supermarkets are making the biggest margin of profit, which is always unfair to the farmers and the rural areas. And this is why now in Industrial Innovation Center, we're trying to leverage that. We're trying to synergize collaboration between organizations. We're trying to add value so that the farmers can benefit better from their produce. Now, marrying or creating a marriage between agriculture and industry, it's quite new. It's been on our old concept. But if you talk about marrying between agriculture, industry, and then you also introduce the concept of innovation, I think this is where you can add the biggest value in agriculture. We are working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. And now we're talking about developing a program, like 5 years program with a reasonable budget. And then now here we can focus on all different things related to agriculture in one ecosystem, rather than dealing with it on a singular basis or elemental basis. Now in agriculture, if you try to touch base on the produce and you forget things related to logistics, manufacturing, added value, innovation, all the way to export, it will never function. And this is why now we're looking at it as an ecosystem and we're starting to introduce it in that fashion. A few weeks ago, we signed an agreement with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to establish the first 2 innovation hubs related to agriculture. Now, one hub is related to innovation in animal feed. And we have 4 to 5 SMEs, which are going to jointly benefit from the central facility to produce animal feed, for ruminants, for horses, fish, chicken. And so now it's evolving when we have the young entrepreneurs coming together, sharing experience, and then we also allocate necessary resources so we can enable them to embark on the world of entrepreneurship in that field, which also play a very crucial role if we talk about food security in Oman. And also we are touching base now, which is very important again, we are touching base on circular economy. There is a lot of waste coming from fish resources in Oman, from agricultural post-harvest processes. So we're trying to benefit from all those waste material to produce animal feed that has higher value. At the same time, now instead of you breed an animal or you keep it for 1 year to 2 years to get fat and to gain weight, now we're trying to produce a kind of optimized animal feed. So the farmers can sell their animals within shorter period of time, maybe half. This has already become now a transformational aspect in Oman. We are also talking about another hub, which is Food and Beverages Innovation Hub. and this will host between 10 to 15 SMEs and micro businesses between now and the end of this year. Now, again, here we're talking about creating more jobs, supporting young Omanis, fresh graduates from universities, and also capitalizing better on the agricultural produce, and especially if we talk about dates in Oman, for example. Another few things that I would mention on quick basis, so I don't take more than my share of time, is related to technology transfer between India and Oman. And we have got our expert, Nilish, who's joining this platform today. He has been doing a very fantastic job to benefit, to link between Oman and India. So we are doing a lot of consultancies between India and Oman. We are also transferring technologies so both nations can benefit. And I think this will add a great value to both nations. Platforms like this one, it is absolutely crucial. It is very important. You know, when I sat today and listening to all those talks, I gained a lot of understanding and better knowledge. I widened my horizon of understanding on agriculture in India and what is happening there. And also I can touch the feeling of the interrelationship between different organizations in India. And also I was very honored at one time to come on a high level delegate to India on knowledge transfer and knowledge sharing between Oman and India. And I visited 5 states, of which I think 3 of them, there were agricultural research centers and colleges. And to be honest with you, there is a huge scope that we can benefit from, we can collaborate. And I don't want to take more than the allocated time for me. And with this one, I'll stop unless there is some other interventions. But I would like to say thank you very much again. And please keep it up. And I do extend my appreciation and gratitude to the people who organized this platform. Definitely it will add great value to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing agricultural innovations in Oman with our participants. Now I request today's keynote speaker, Mr. Prashant Pansare, sir, Managing Director and Intelligent Group Founder and CEO Rubis Cap, to request to deliver a lecture.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me first pledge my sincere thanks to the Krishi Vidyapeeth of Rahuri for putting together such a wonderful symposium. And it's so timely that we are talking about technology, innovation, agriculture, the future of farming, as well as startups and incubation. In the times where the world is still coming out of the COVID impact. Before I share my thoughts on the subject, let me also sincerely thank Dr. Gorantiwar for putting together such a wonderful symposium at such a short notice in 2 weeks, and we already have more than 350 participants, delegates joining in. It has been wonderful to see the energy and enthusiasm levels. And Dr. Vishwanatha, my sincere congratulations to you for bringing such a good recognition and the laurels to the university. With your leadership, sir, the university is absolutely in safe hands, and we are so excited to also bring, put some foot forward with you as how we can collaborate and keep the momentum on for the innovation and digitization in days to come. Let me also thank Dr. Abdullah for his wonderful keynote, and it's actually quite rare to have international dignitaries to come and address the symposium in less than 24 hours. So, sir, we sincerely appreciate your enthusiasm and kind consideration. And certainly we look forward to collaborate with you on the platform of university. So welcome once again all the delegates and luminaries and dignitaries who are on the organizing side. What I intend to do in next few minutes is share with you some thoughts and reflections about what is happening in the world around and why it is important for us to think about technology and innovation, especially in the agriculture era. And when the organizers were actually putting together the format for symposium, it was so relevant theme, the Decoding Agritech, And that's exactly what we are talking about, and how we can make this movement towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat, which has been extremely well articulated by our Prime Minister, and how India can emerge as the digital agriculture industry. So before we get deeper into it, let me give you my 2 cents of what is happening, and especially these are some of the statistics that have shot up during the COVID times. If you look at India is already second largest tele-density country with the cheapest mobile internet. And if you also look at the education, healthcare, and food and agriculture, these industries have less than 1% of penetration in digital trade or e-commerce. There are people who are engaged with the digital technology and mobile in rural areas in these industries. But if you actually see how much of that is being leveraged for what we say as business or collaboration, has been very, very low penetration. And that is what actually it gives a humongous potential in days to come. Look at the retail commerce, approximately is contributing only 2% of the total retail trade, and that says something, right? I mean, somebody mentioned in their earlier keynotes that food industry is always recession proof, and roti kapda makan, the roti comes first, right? So the food is one industry that is the most essential commodity. Again, thanks to COVID, some of the positive things that have come out of it is that the agriculture and the people and the industry working in agriculture, I think there has been a growing respect and interest amongst Indians post-COVID situation, when we experience the sudden lockdowns and a complete lockdowns for months together. And I think that also creates a very good basis for industry, for academia, for researchers to come together, and how these numbers can change and how we can look at more and more adoption and penetration. One of the statistical insight that I would like to share is that look at the penetration of internet users in India. And interestingly, what is happening is that we are becoming locally global, right? Thanks to social media technology, the adoption has been quite massive. And if you look at the Indian language internet usage is actually growing at 55% CAGR, with already 364 millions of users on the local languages. And if you see, 88% of the Indian population is non-English. And what it means is that there's a huge potential for regionalizing our offerings, regionalizing our digital technologies, be able to penetrate deeper into the market. And before I actually go into the agriculture industry specifically, let me share with you, what has happened in last 6 months and what impact it is likely to make. If you look at 1 trillion devices generating 2.5 quintillion of data, and if you look at 80% of today's world data is unstructured, and that unstructured data means images, conversations, speeches, social conversations, weather, location, all of this data is classified as unstructured data. Your video, images, sensor data is classified as unstructured data. And that data is growing fast. And if you look at the 90% of the world data today has actually been generated in the last 2 years. You can imagine with this kind of a data appetite, what is likely to happen. And if we have to give the context with the growth of data, and especially if you look at last 6 months, what has happened in India, we now have more than 500 million internet users with 450 million smartphones in India. And that actually has helped in also making a shift. Imagine that such kind of a symposium, how much time it would have taken to organize, not less than 3 to 6 months at least. And still there are lockdown situations, there are restrictions on travel and stuff like that. In spite of that, the university has actually gone digital and put that onto a video conference online. Now, this is what COVID has done to the world. It is also helping in shifting, or rather catalyzing and accelerating the digitization in a fastest possible way. So what are the economy, country, industry needs that are actually coming in is that this different kinds of data that is getting generated, how you can access, how can you make sense out of it, how can you build intelligent business models which will help you in making a knowledge society even better, right? And if you see what the COVID impact, that has actually radically been changing our way of life. It's not only the country, it's not only one particular industry, but be it society, family, individual lives, the entire course of life has changed. And Deloitte actually puts it smartly. They say, how the future of work is going to change, right? So work, workforce, and workplace. If you look at these three dimensions, the work is going to be automation, a tremendous automation, robotics, technologies like AR, VR, data science, artificial intelligence is reality, right? Flying drones doing soil testing, or smart cultivation, smart irrigation, these are realities in some part of the world, and India has a huge potential. So if you look at the work is going to change with automation. If you look at the second dimension, which is workforce, the upskilling, future skilling is very important. As they say, you can't solve tomorrow's problems with yesterday's techniques, right? So if you're talking about smart irrigation, if you're talking about smart cultivation, you need to have a technology, digitization, and you need related skills. You need humans who can actually operate that. And that's why the workforce means future skilling. And if you look at the workplace, now this is something very interesting, because what we anticipate this COVID is going to do, especially in Indian context, is there had been an extreme urbanization. So, people for their living and earning a bread would go to urban areas, and there had been an extreme load on the urbanization. With COVID, what is going to happen is a massive decentralization of this is going to happen, and tier 2 cities, rural areas are going to be in the forefront of digital technology adoption. Even for government, it is on agenda why they are giving more priority, investment, funding, policy level decisions that are actually changing to bring in tier 2 cities, rural areas in the mainstream of industry. And past few months, we're seeing there are a lot of policy level decisions being rolled out. Of course, we are going through turbulent times, but I see, with these three things put together, we are set for a massive change in the way we've been living our lives. Now, let me give you, a quick perspective about what is happening in the world, how we are moving from, say, stone age to a digital age, right? I mean, there had been a lot of revolution. Industrial revolution came in, then the computer revolution came in. We call it as a cyber space, or a digital era today. And we are actually moving from transactions to interactions, and these interactions are actually happening real time. They're happening with technology, they're happening online, and they're changing the course. So how you are observing to be able to make sense of it, and how can you predict that what is likely to happen so that you can improve the future, right? So we always say that how you can analyze past, how you can master present, how you can predict future, and how you can improve future. And that can happen through observations. And on the other side, if you actually see what has been happening, especially when we talk about digitization, there has been transactional platforms, and now the innovation platforms are emerging, and how companies are being able to put these two things together. Look at, for example, Airbnb, right? Or maybe Swiggy and Zomato kind of business models. They don't have kitchen, but they still supply food, right? Airbnb do not own the hotels, but they still provide you hospitality as a service. Why that is happening? Because they've built some technology that brings in the creators and consumers on one platform, and these type of company service providers are called aggregators. So these aggregators, without actually being in that industry, are changing that industry. Another good example all of us know is that look at the Uberization that has happened and how it has transformed the world of automotive, not only the manufacturers but consumers also. That today, you don't think that if you want to have a luxury car, probably the cost and complexity is that first is capital investment, then you have to maintain it, you have to fuel it every time, you have to drive it, you have to find the parking place. If you have a driver, there is a operating cost. All of this actually being resolved when the need for transportation has been redefined with a mobile application like Uber, right? And that Uberization is happening in all different industrial segments as well. And that is what we mean by how can you look at Uberization of cultivation as a service, for example, right? And these are some of the new age business models that are emerging, and we call them as the servicification of industry. So how the industry can move from a capital intensive, capital heavy business models to a lightweight, capital lightweight or light asset class business models. And these Uber, Airbnb, Swiggy, Zomato kind of models are a good examples that can give us a reference and a trigger. With that, let me come to a few things in agriculture sector. And this industry has a huge potential. One of the area of our deep interest is that this industry generates a real-time, a high amount of unstructured data. The data appetite, especially in Indian agriculture, is very low. And as we say that, as we have seen, it's less than 1%. And that is what is our innovation agenda, that how with Krushi Vidyapeeth kind of institutions, we can help them become more intelligent and drive this in a real sense to be able to not only digitize, because in that way digitization is easy. Take an example of smart city. I mean, just putting some mobile towers together and people buying mobile devices and connecting with each other on a social media is not a smart city. It is a digital city. But a smart city will actually give you a smart experience. It will bring in smart governance. It will shoot up the happiness index of the citizens. It will improve the quality of life for the manufacturers, for the suppliers, for the consumers, right? So how can we look at the smart technologies that can make us as smart citizens, right? And if you actually look at these three distinctly different layers, they actually bring in the weather location data, right? There's a huge amount of data that is available, by the WHO or by United Nations. India also has set up a National Data Council, and you have a humongous of data available on a time series, right? So for a location, for a particular type of a cultivation, you can actually do time series analysis, what has been happening last 1 year, last 3 years, last 15 years, and then being able to predict what is likely to happen this year, next year, and being able to understand and plan that what is your business idea, what is that you would like to really invest in. And then when you look at actually the entire process of farming, right from the soil testing to actually the cultivation to crop, knowledge, connectivity, the equipments, then when you're talking about the distribution, consumption, looping that back into the next cycle, this industry has a very complex supply chain. And in India, it is highly distributed and decentralized. And that gives a massive potential, and how we can look at some of those critical components by analyzing when you're doing weather forecasting, how accurately even a local farmer will be able to predict what is the impact of a climate change. Using drones, and I'll actually talk about some of those use cases when we go in the subsequent slides, is that how can we adopt drones? And it's not going to be like a Bollywood movie, a fiction movie, where we are thinking, oh, I'm doing farming in Rauri, but how can I use drones? It's today reality, and we're going to see that in subsequent slides. The new emerging business opportunity in agritech, and this is borrowed from a NASCOM research, is that if you actually look at the market linkages as how we can connect the producers and consumers, entire supply chain using digital supply chain platforms and the digital agriculture as a process. How can we create the marketplaces so that not just the buyer and seller, but the interim sellers and the entire supply chain can actually discover the new value and how it can actually yield to the results. Farming as a service is actually emerging, and when we are talking to some tech companies, when we are talking about some of the large farming companies, they are actually looking at how this can borrow asset light models, right? And we'll talk about some of the examples, and that has also been one of the charter or rather focus area for Niti Aayog for a massive investment, and they have been publicly announcing in India next 2 years, 3 years, the major focus is going to be on agriculture, healthcare, and digitization. Education. These are some of the core industries that will have a massive growth potential in Indian context next 2-3 years. Okay, so when we are talking about technology, let me share with you a small video. I hope this is audible.
Audio, sir.
Is it audible?
No. Please share computer sound.
Okay. It essentially talks about how the agriculture can tie together the different kinds of technology and data points to simplify it. And when we are talking about the farmers using their mobile phones not only for calling or social media, but how they can build up and consume some specific apps that can give them location intelligence, they can give them equipment intelligence, they can give them the soil intelligence and all of that, and how that actually helps them in improving their efficiencies, improving the efficiency of land, cultivation, production, productivity, the people. It actually talks about that. So, I mean, I think this is one of the known issues that when you are playing a videos, probably the audio has some issue. But let me simplify that. Let me decode that with you. So let's take an example of some of the equipments that are used in agriculture, right? So conventionally, we all have been seeing and using the tractors. So the smart tractors, what you're doing is putting some sensors to it, right? And then this tractor is becoming a little more smart in terms of giving you some more data points. But if you look at the smart and connected tractor, right, the tractor is not only connected to the driver during the ride, giving the different parameters of how that tractor is operating, but the smart and connected tractor is connected using GPS system to the maybe a tractor cloud and rendering a huge amount of services which can be categorized in different areas, right? I mean, when you're looking at a farm management, just look at the weather data system, right? So you're talking about, you're capturing the data of a location. I mean, just take a smartphone. A smartphone has most potent sensors, already gone into it. So that tracks your location, that has the movement, the GPS system, or even if you take an example of a Google map kind of, tools that gives you so many, different functions and data value. You are being able to, at that particular location, it's not only helping you in identifying location, but what is the weather at that particular time, what has been the weather trend, and what is likely to be the forecast. That you can actually, see when you're looking at seed optimization or different kinds of irrigation systems and farm equipments coming together. So the smart and connected tractor is not only the sensor empowered tractor, but it is connected with your whole ecosystem, right? And then sitting maybe below the tree on a mobile device, you are being able to track what is your productivity level and how it can be enhanced. Now the smart and connected tractor, just think that can you Uberize it and say that we will have autonomous driverless tractor rendering the land cultivation as a service. It's same like Uber. So I don't need to buy a tractor by by making an investment and then repaying the EMI, having somebody to drive it. Imagine if there is a smart and connected tractor that I dial, and an autonomous driverless tractor comes to my field maybe sometimes late in the evening, and it has the light enhancing cameras, and there is a farm map that has been fed, and the the exact layout is being fed there using artificial intelligence. This tractor is actually doing its job, and maybe 4 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours it is automatically giving you the complete cultivation as a service. Next day morning, you just make a payment and then it goes away, right? So imagine that for a specific purpose, what is your capital investment of a particular type, and how much it is yielding you the profitable results and returns on your investments. So can this be what we call as a shared economy? Can these kind of initiative become your shared economy examples, where probably 5, 10, 15 farmers are coming together and they're saying that rather than we having 15, 20, 25 tractors, let's have 3 tractors and automated tractors, intelligent connected tractors that we can use in the shared economy, right? It gives you more financial returns, better flexibility, and this is what is happening, right? I mean, there are technologies like aggregators who are making millions of dollars using these shared economy principles. When we look at the drones using agriculture, in fact, we have been sponsoring some projects of some bright students who are actually devising some applications using drone and smart cameras. They are building an application of soil testing as a service. And these drones actually have the location and weather intelligence. And when they're moving up on the farm, they are also being able to pick up the physical sample using the probes and send it to the labs, nearing labs, and by analyzing the temperature, heat, the color of soil, wear and tear, how much has been the ingredients, chemical compositions, into the land and soil, they're being able to make a sense out of it. Now imagine that when you have to take the soil testing for maybe claiming a subsidy, or any of your daily routine work, the amount of time, money, energy, investment, and dependence on people, right? Everything can be eliminated when you are thinking about such kind of smart, intelligent applications that can solve our daily problems. Now, I'm making a statement. On the other side, if you actually see a lot of youth in rural areas, they have smart mobile phones, and what they're doing is they're actually doing this, fun imaging videos like TikTok and stuff like that. And if they can get intelligent with that, which actually is not helping them in their business, how they can build such kind of intelligent apps that can help, and it's a big business. It's not only solving somebody's problem, but there is a huge opportunity that foreign companies are seeing. They're coming and investing in the Indian agriculture and Indian agritech. There are about 350 registered agritech companies with NASSCOM, right? This number is very, very less. We are about 140 crore population country, right? Probably we have to add a few zeros to this number, and that is why we are discussing with the Krushi Vidyapeeth how you can set up a research and an innovation lab so that these kind of things can happen. When we look at the future of farming, let's look at that drawing as a soil testing, texting cows. The cows and buffaloes actually have the sensors, and then their the health, their location, their activity is also being monitored, and it is happening, right? We have been in talks with some of the Dutch universities, and they've done significant work in this area, and now they're exploring using artificial intelligence how they can make more and more sense out of this. So that the concepts of agribots or smart tractors that I talked about briefly, in the interest of time, I'm not covering the entire gamut, but it's quite a good food for thought that how you can look at certain things. Let me come to what we are doing, making our own limited contributions, because we are a self-funded Indian product startup in data science and artificial intelligence platform. And on the 15th of August this year, we actually dedicated this product innovation to the Atmanirbhar Bharat movement. This Rubyscape company has been incorporated on 25th February 2020, and it is an innovation that actually will disrupt the world of data science and artificial intelligence. It's a completely industry agnostic data science platform, and it has a huge potential to co-create and collaborate with the research institutions and the universities. And in that sense, we are actually in talks with the universities how such technology can be leveraged. Now, if you look at how the technology has to enable the developers or creators, ideators, innovators, right? Just think, you have Android as an operating system, then you have Play Store, and then you have apps, right? If you look at that example, how can we give you a data platform as an operating system for innovators, where very easily and rapidly they can build their either mobile apps or different kinds of apps that can bring in different kinds of data. So when you're looking at location, weather, sensors kind of data, you need cameras, you need images, you need drone kind of applications, you need sensor connectivity that can be fed into the data platforms, and then data platforms can actually do a wonderful magic. So how we can enable, how can we help you learn, how we can help you in building your innovations using what we call as a data science toolkit, or AI application toolkit, and then you can easily connect and monitor, right? Just imagine and think, if I have to build an Uber or a Zomato kind of an application, it's a simple mobile app that actually brings in drivers and riders on one single platform with payment gateway, user profiling and security. But underneath, it's a very powerful data science platform. And that's exactly what we bring to the university for the innovators and incubators, for the students who want to do their virtual internships and build these kind of apps as their projects, and innovate and integrate that into the ecosystem so that they can engage with the larger community and make an impact. Now, if you actually see some of these colorful logos that you're seeing, they are being integral part of this data innovation platform that we are bringing to the table. All right, and how it also enables is that we have a full-fledged what we call as an EdTech app, which is a digital university to help you and your faculties and students to quickly learn this data science and artificial intelligence, like Coursera or Udemy, in box, and then rapidly in few weeks your students are being able to leverage the platform to start building their apps and ideate, incubate and launch their products into the global arena. I'm sorry that we might not be able to get the audio, but this is an interesting video that I wanted to share with you, and this is the second last slide that I have on a table. So let me actually explain, if you don't get the voice of what this video is. So these are some So what he's doing is he is doing a farming inside the four walls. So that's actually the future farming, and it's a quite powerful message that see you tomorrow. What they're doing is by using digital technology, they're actually growing the farm inside the house, inside the offices, inside the cover areas to minimize the impact. Of course, the scale and there are so many other dependent parameters and variables. I also know that it's not easy, but these kind of future innovations are now and here. And this is probably the second last slide, that how can you think of your idea and incubate that idea at your university level itself, like a student entrepreneur, and build and test your product. And then when you're passing out, when you're actually wanting to set up your innovation, and not necessarily you have to be only a student, you might be a professional, you might be a farmer. Just think of how you can have this idea. I operate a software company in Pune, and more than half of our talent has actually gone to their hometowns, and they're operating from homes, and we are encouraging them that why don't you also start doing farming, do farming and do technology job as well. So how this, youth can actually, have this kind of a blended approach of combining best of both worlds, that they're working on artificial intelligence, they're also working in farm. And then they're bringing some innovations together for the global markets. And before we sign off, we certainly look forward to help you set up the innovation incubator under Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Program, and we are sure and we are pretty confident that how it can help you in with this incubator in aligning with Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this mind map actually will give you the perspective that one side how you can align with Niti Aayog's vision and alignment, which is looking forward to set up more than 1,000 incubators in next 1 year in India, and how it can deliver the value proposition of future skilling, rural empowerment, women and youth empowerment, how it can deliver the socio-economic impact, what is the role of data science and artificial intelligence, and how we can set you up that in a few weeks, right? Including empowering your faculties and students with the knowledge. Nobody taught us how to use Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp, right? The do-it-yourself kind of technologies. We bring you a made in India technology that is like do-it-yourself. And then using that, learning that in few weeks, months, you can actually start innovating your next generation data innovation products. So this is my last slide. Let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for delivering the wonderful lecture on decoding agritech to shape up new India. Thank you very much. Now I request today's keynote speaker, Mr. Makarand Pandit, Principal Trainer and Managing Director, Techno Rights Private Limited, Pune, to enlighten us regarding role of incubators in agritech. Sir, please.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right, so thank you very much. And before I get started, let me say that I'm extremely honored and privileged to be here today while conducting this session, and jointly organized by a team of organizers. And my heartiest congratulations to Dr. Vishwanatha for a well-deserved award. And I think the team of organizers is quite active and quite big. So let me just say that before I get started with the session, I would like to humbly acknowledge your contribution, all of you, and thank you for inviting me here. And I'm going to talk about importance of incubation in agriculture. Now you see some fruits on this slide. Now there's a little bit of secret about those fruits, and I'm going to disclose that secret on my last slide. All right, so let's get on with it. So hoping that you are able to see the slides of my presentation. So I'm moving on to the next slide. So what am I going to talk about? So in this session, I'm going to talk about the agriculture in India. I'm going to talk about various issues related to Indian agriculture. I'll talk a little bit about what incubation is, how it can bring the change, and the critical role of technology accelerators that is needed today. So I'm just doing a recap of the information that maybe most of the participants of this particular session are already aware. But let me just make these points because we'll be connecting to some of these points in the subsequent slides. So agriculture accounted for 23% of GDP and 59% of the country's total workforce in 2016. I think Dr. Gorantiwar also mentioned this earlier in the session. The international comparisons reveal the average yield in India is generally 30 to 50% of the highest average yield. Have I shared my camera? Yeah, I think I have. Okay. So the international average yield is substantially higher than what we get in India. At around 15,30,000 square kilometers, India has the second largest amount of arable land after the US, with only 52% of the total land under cultivation. Now, India's arable land is marginally smaller than that of US and marginally larger than that of China. However, if you look at the agricultural output, then it lags far behind its possible potential. The irrigation facilities are inadequate, as revealed by the fact that only 46% of the total cultivable land was irrigated as of 2016. Now, as a result, the farmers are still being dependent on the rainfall, and especially the monsoon season, which we all know we are going through it right now, that it's pretty inconsistent and unevenly distributed. So sometimes there is a scarcity of water and sometimes there is too much of water. So all the information that I have used from various sources, I have tried to acknowledge those sources on my slides. Let me mention here that without referring to these sources, this presentation would not have been complete. And then anybody who wants to double check this information, I'll be glad to share the slides as well as the sources list so that you can go and qualify the content. Now moving on, agriculture in India. So in India, 80% of total farmers are holding less than 5 acres of land. And around 55% of the Indian population depends on farming. So I think, as it was mentioned, that food will never go out of business. So farming not just feeds the farm growers, but it also feeds the remaining population through what they produce. Adequate agriculture research and education, training and extension is considered to be one of the major characteristics and problem in India. Agriculture is, of course, unique. And if you have read the popular book called as The Third Wave by Alvin Toffler, so Toffler has mentioned that the very first wave of civilization was agriculture. Subsequently, he also mentioned that the second wave was manufacturing and the third was information technology. Now, what is more important here is the manufacturing wave has catched on, the information technology wave has also catched on, but the agriculture wave is still not over, right? So it still remains. And if you look at agriculture as an activity, it has been going on for millions of years, and that has helped the human being to settle down on this planet, right? So we see a long history of agriculture. Now, more than 60% of the world's population, even today, depends on agriculture for survival. Now, India predominantly has labor-based agriculture. However, some of the developed countries use a lot of mechanization. So if you compare this, so you would be surprised to know that only 4% of the US or the American population depends on agriculture. And there is a lot of mechanization that has happened in the developed countries for the agriculture process. Now, in India, of course, we do have the islands of success. So there are, glaring examples of farmers who are getting as much as 5 times more yield than others in the same area, with the same amount of rainfall, with the same amount of or same type of soil and so on. So obviously they are doing something different, and that difference will, I think, be the most important factor. The educational infrastructure related to agriculture in India. So 71 agriculture universities in India, 3 are central, 4 are deemed, and 64 are state. And of course, 6 are in Maharashtra, including the Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit in Rahuri. And under that, we have got many institutions. Now, what really may be the missing piece? I think one of the most important thing to look at is technology. And I think Prashant has already talked about many use cases of how drones could be used. I think the point that was also made by other speakers in the session is we have to be self-reliant. And that's something that, we have learned during these COVID days. We cannot depend on technology imported from other countries, because that will have very serious impact in the coming years. And from there, I think the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat has also come up. So we'll need to find local solutions to local challenges. I think I was listening to Dr. Abdul Maharuki, and he also mentioned that there are some unique challenges in Oman. So he mentioned about excess heat, he mentioned about water shortage and so on. Now the R&D being done in other developed nations may not really solve our problems, because that R&D is not suitable to our situations or our environments. Maybe there are solutions. Prashant already mentioned about precision agriculture, so let me not explain that again. I think we also heard Prabhat Kumar sir talking about collaboration, where he said that that will be, so I think he called it as collectivization. So where he said that that will be at the core of success. So having essential tie-ups working together will probably be answers to some of the problems. I think we need to have research which is based on Indian needs. And most importantly, we have to look at the innovation ecosystems. And that's the point that I'm going to discuss in a bit more detail in the coming slides. So innovation anywhere, I think, is also threat everywhere. Now, I have quoted 3 popular quotes on this slide. So entrepreneurs operate through creative destruction by Joseph Schumpeter, famously quoted in 1942. A major aspect of entrepreneurs is that they innovate, and for them, innovation is an instrument. I think we all have heard this name. The famous management guru Peter Drucker has mentioned this, quoted this in 1986. More recently, we have seen a book where Thomas Friedman had mentioned that the world is flat. Some of us have probably also read the next version of the book, which says the world is flatter. What is the point I'm making? The point that I'm making is innovation somewhere in this part of the world is going to spread to the rest of the world. And the world is flat. And at all times, the innovation coming to our country, the innovation coming to our markets may not really be what we wanted. Now, there could be a positive lookout on this, and there could also be a negative lookout. The negative lookout is when innovation in some other place is going to drag us and is going to negatively affect our lives and our society. That's the negative effect, right? What about the positive? Well, if we innovate in India, I think a lot of countries in the world will also benefit from that. So if we are at the source of innovation, if we are the person, we are creating a team of entrepreneurs, who will innovate, then we'll definitely have a positive effect of the same 3 factors that I mentioned about. So incubation in agriculture perhaps is not new. So I think we all probably have heard about the various successful agribusiness incubators which are done. They are called as agribusiness incubators. I have read more than 100 cases of that. And then the source is, of course, ikrisat.org, where I would encourage all participants to go and take a look at it. They have got some really fantastic success stories. They have also mentioned that out of more than 100 incubatees that they have, 22 have successfully graduated. Now, this data that I have taken dates back to 2016. I did not get a more updated file to look at, but I'm sure those numbers have gone up substantially by now. Correct? So what we are saying is what we are trying to do is not really new. It's already happening, which proves that this can definitely happen. We simply need to work on it and get on with it. So ICRISAT in Hyderabad. So I've just taken these 2 screenshots from their site. So AIP is a pioneering public-private partnership initiative of ICRISAT that works towards furthering ICRISAT's mission by upscaling its technology and research. Now, these are the 2 words that I would require or I would recommend you to look at. Note them down: technology and research. So some of the companies who have successfully graduated there, so their logos are also mentioned here. Now, incubators with technology backbone, I think, is the solution. So agriculture, of course, is a very complex business, and engineering is critical in agriculture. I think the point that Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapeeth already has got incubation, has already got engineering college under that, and there is a full-fledged syllabus, proves this point. Now, obviously, the farmers, the small farmers that we are talking about, who will be having 5, 7, 3 acres of land, do not have the education or the time or money and other resources for experimentation. For startup, the success rate is 3% or less. Now, some of the things that I would like to mention here, especially is this, is that I started my company, which is TechnoRights, when I was 24 years old. So it was a startup at that time. and little did I know how to do business. I'm a first generation entrepreneur in my family, so which means that nobody in my family was able to help me or guide me. In fact, a lot of them actually thought that I'm going to fail very badly. Now, after 27 years, I'd love this to actually go to 72 years, definitely. So after 27 years from that date, I still say that, yes, I'm doing well. And in the process, what have I done? I have been a contributing member as an entrepreneur to the society. I have specialized in my own field, and there was hardly any specialization in this field. I represent the community of knowledge management and technical writing in India. I have been an international fellow. I have trained more than 2,000 individual candidates to come into this profession. And it's not about me or it's not about I. It's a typical case study of a successful entrepreneur. And I can tell you that within first 3 years of starting the business, there were so many situations where I actually thought that, well, I should simply fold up my business. Simply because nobody was there to tell me that these problems are going to come. Nobody was there to tell me that these problems are normal. Nobody was there to give me the key or the answer to my problem and say that this is how you should overcome it. And I can tell you that a lot of startups get folded right there. So within, I think, 3 years, if 100 startups have really started within 3 years, probably half of them or more than half of them must have folded business. After 10 years, maybe only 3 out of 100 will survive. And that's the reason I would like to propose something which is going much beyond a startup. Correct? So I'm not talking about startups. I'm talking about incubators. And what I'm saying is with incubators, this rate can go up. Correct? And we should not just go in for incubators. So a number of times people think that incubators is giving them the business space. Incubators is giving them, a place where they can put together their resources, an office that they can work out of, somewhere that they can open their laptops and make phone calls, somewhere that they can take their printouts. Well, that would have become a business center. Here we are talking about incubator, and incubator has to be backed up by an ecosystem. That's the point that I'm making here. So ecosystem is much better than only incubation support. Now consider the statistics. If you talk about incubators, they claim that India has become the third most successful country in the world because India has 140 incubators. Now, when I'm saying that, these are not related to agriculture. We are talking about pure play incubation, which could be there in all the different business areas, be it agriculture, be it technology, be it IT, be it chemical engineering, be it something else, right? So India has 140. You know how many US has? 1,500. And how many does China have? 2,400. And what was the mandate? What was the recommendation by Niti Aayog at the beginning of the year 2020? So they came up with Atal Innovation Mission, and they said that by the end of year 2020, we should have at least 2,000 incubators. And we wanted to bridge that gap, obviously, that we have with China, right? Question is, are we working towards this goal? Because incubation is something that will help us to survive. So as I said, ecosystem is much better than only incubation support, and technology can aid and accelerate business ideas. Now we need to work very fast. I think another point which was mentioned earlier is, I think we mentioned about speed, scale, and sustainability. Now I'm saying that all these things are related to what I'm saying here or my presentation. So what we need is incubation? No. We need incubation along with acceleration. We need incubation along with acceleration and a supporting ecosystem. And we'll need incubation, acceleration, and ecosystem on the backbone of technology. Now, without the technology backbone, this may not really go on for a long time, or it will probably take a long time to reach that level where we can say that, yes, it has succeeded. So what we need is not just incubation. We need an incubation ecosystem, and we need technology backbone in which it has to work. And we need the accelerator. As has been rightly mentioned, speed is of essence here. and we are already late in doing all this. So a sustainable business model, I think we all know that when you design a product, you make a concept of the product, then you prepare a detailed design, and then you go ahead and implement. Now, this is what a lot of incubatees are going to go through. They will come up with a product idea, which will start from ideation, maybe go to the concept design, go to the prototyping, experimenting, detailed design, piloting, launching, and then finally reflecting and improving it further. Now, be it a product or be it a service, if we are talking about incubation, if we are talking about innovation, it will start with ideation. And that's where I think we can make a lot of difference. So today, data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence are becoming very popular. India, in fact, has got a data science policy of its own. So we know that a lot of jobs are going to be created in this field. So a lot of people just want to be data scientists or whatever. What many people do not know is data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence are also going to be big enablers. So the developments in this field are going to enable many other businesses to work. The developments in field will remove a lot of redundant or repetitive work in many business processes which are already present. So they'll leave us, or they'll let us do the more creative work, doing the repetitive and mundane work. Now, we all know that computers are a part of every field today. And I think Prashant already touched upon this, that today almost everybody has got a computer. Our mobile phone is also a computer of sorts. Many of you could actually be attending this session through your mobile phone. Most of the students are continuing their education sitting at home. Well, if we want to accelerate, we'll have to use that computing power which is there in our hand. Without that power, we may not really get the speed that we want. And it would be outright stupid not to use the power which we already have. So we should embrace the developments in data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. If we want to accelerate, we need to use the computers and technology very well. Now, unless we analyze, unless we monitor, unless we forecast, unless we predict, experimentation will have minuscule or minimum effect. So we want to know whether we can analyze the past, whether we can monitor the present, and based on that, whether we can predict the future. Now, all this will be possible using the various data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence developments. Now, many use cases are already ready. I think Prashant talked about some of the use cases related to drones. I think Gurantivar sir already talked about some of the projects which are already being done related to IoT. So related to soil testing, related to rainwater, the yield of the crops, and so on and so forth. A huge amount of data is getting generated, correct? So my point is, or my suggestion is, we cannot be technology wise, but data foolish. We'll have to learn to process the data that is getting generated. We'll have to capture whatever data is getting generated. Otherwise, we may miss out a point. And if we use capture, systematically process that data, it's going to show us the ways to success quite easily as compared to we forgetting. Human beings will not be able to process the kind of data that we talked about, the structured data, the unstructured data, and then getting derivations out of it or getting business inferences out of it. So if we are going to provide a technology backbone, that technology should already have use cases for the incubatees to consider. We are not just going for startups, we have to go in for incubatees, and we should be able to give them lots and lots of ideas. Now, what did I mean by ecosystem? So let's go ahead. So what are we talking about? So we are not just talking about business services, as I said. So we are not just talking about providing them banks, legal services, and advisors. We are talking about giving them the core infrastructure. We are talking about maybe even providing funds so that they can incubate, they can get started. We are talking about giving them the industry interface where they can talk to experts, where they can talk to experienced entrepreneurs, where they can talk to businessmen, where they can talk to the market, and where they start discussing the business prospects, well, they'll see that, okay, how am I going to change the set process? How am I going to recreate that process? How am I going to innovate? And at the time while I'm doing this, I'll be creating lots of opportunities. I'll be creating jobs which are badly needed, and yet I'll be generating value for the society. So are we going to provide them industry interfaces? Are we going to provide them technology partnerships? Because a lot of companies today have realized that instead of they hiring people, they would want to give a lot of their projects out and get them done as a project. So project as a service can be capitalized on. We already have ideas that we can give them and they can start working on it, and they can make successful businesses out of the various use cases which have already been identified. We are talking about providing them support. So just telling them that, okay, from tomorrow you are the incubatee and this is the service that we provide will not be sufficient. We'll have to provide them training, we'll have to provide them labs, we'll have to provide them facilities and so on. And this is where I think we should come back and revisit that point that I made. My point was we need to give them technology. Now consider the fact that we already are an engineering college, and this engineering college then help them to develop sensors. They already have the labs already set up over there. There is already a lot of equipment in the lab. The infrastructure investment is already done. We already have experts, faculty members who can help the incubatees at regular intervals to tell them, well, how they can develop their hardware, how they can develop the various industry components, how they can do their experimentation and so on. So what I'm talking about is capitalizing the existing infrastructure, and then that's what I mean by acceleration. So it took me something like 4 or 5 years as an entrepreneur to get that confidence that, yes, I can settle in this business. It took me some time to realize that, yes, I can be in this business and I can earn enough to feed my family. Nobody told me that, well, at this point of time, it's going to happen. And looking back 27 years, I can clearly see the patterns. I can clearly see the milestones in my career where I think somebody could have definitely helped me. And that would have gone a long way. Perhaps today my company would have been bigger. Perhaps I could have generated even more value and so on. So my appeal to this, you all, is very simple. Future belongs to the entrepreneurs. They create jobs, they generate wealth, they generate value for the society. They give us independence. But let's also not forget that they need to be nurtured. They will not just happen. We can accelerate that process. We can put them in the ecosystem. Just like after germination from a plant, a tree will develop. We want to take them when they are that tender, and we want to give them that protected ecosystem in which they can flourish. And once they become a tree, I think the fruits are for everybody to enjoy. Now, I keep on reading a lot of books, and one of the books I read recently was the Shiva Bhakti Sutra. And there are a number of sutras mentioned over there. And the first one, the very first one, is the one that I liked. And the sutra is Udyamo Bhairavaha, which simply means that wherever there is Udyam, wherever there is Udyog, wherever there is Udyojak, there is Shiva standing behind him. तुम्ही जर उद्योजक असाल, तुमच्या मागे साक्षात परमेश्वर उभा आहे, आणि त्या परमेश्वराची आपण थोडीशी मदत डेफिनेटली करू शकतो. I think if a budding entrepreneur is there, we have to realize this is a change agent. He is the person who can bring innovation to the society, who can create value to the society. And we should not just depend on other economies, other countries to do the innovation, because when it comes, it's going to have a negative impact. When our innovation goes out, we are going to have a positive impact. With that, I think I'll end my presentation. So thank you very much. So the secret about those fruits is this. I want to see these fruits to be the fruits of successful innovation, successful incubation coming out of the Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit incubator. With that, I think I'll end my session. My email ID is mentioned on the slide. I would appreciate if you want to send me feedback. And of course, you can also follow me using my Twitter handle. With that, I'll close my session here. Thank you once again, everybody, for providing me this opportunity. I'll look forward to any question answer sessions. Thank you very much. Madam, back to you.
Thank you, sir, for acquainting with the role of incubators in Agritech. Thank you very much, sir. For participants and speakers, kind information, this program is live on YouTube and Facebook also. Before moving to next session, I will request to all the participants, if you have any query or questions, please drop into chat box.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Sevak.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I will. This is now open for discussion, and we have few. We have, on the other side, but he can answer the question. A question is from Praveen Prasad. He is saying whether this modern or smart agriculture can have negative effect on the small farmer. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Makrand, I hope you are there. Prashant.
Yes, sir,
yes.
I'm available. Very much here.
Yes, very much. I hope I am also audible.
Yeah. So the question is whether this modern agriculture or smart agriculture, it can have, say, kind of negative impact on the small farmer. That is the question from Mr. Prasad.
Let me reiterate it. You're saying the regular farming and smart farming, whether it will have a negative impact on small farmers, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very good question. And I can also understand that, it also brings in a lot of uncertainty in the minds of youth who are actually just about to start their careers. Let me give you another example. In 80s, when the computerization was introduced in India, I'm sure some of the professors would agree and would remember that there were a lot of protests on the streets that if computers are introduced, what will happen to the jobs, especially in the government and public sectors. Now imagine computerization also brought in some automation. It not only brought in the ease, but it definitely, reduced some jobs in public sector and government, no doubt about it. But if you see on the other side, computer revolution also created millions of new jobs in India. Right? It also made India an IT superpower in about a couple of decades. And today we are, amongst the most advanced country when it comes to software, right? We are a software economic power. If you remember, in mid 60s and 70s, there was a protest by the telephone operators in the United States, and they said, do not introduce self-dialing phones. Right? Because if self-dialing phones will be introduced, the jobs of telecom operators will go. Now see that not only self-dialing phone came in, but then came in cordless, mobile phones, smartphones, and how the technology changed and disrupted. Now, what I would suggest is that we have to think with a fresh mind. And as I said, we can't solve tomorrow's problems and challenges with yesterday's approaches. Right? How can you look at what is your resource availability? If you have a farm, if you are being able to grow the crop, just imagine that can you like so many international companies look at India as their IT outsourcing hub, right? So how can you also provide agriculture farming as an outsourcing to the global players? Now that can be a humongous opportunity. But if we are thinking only as our local market, as our reach, if you're only going to be dependent on manual methods of operating, probably we will never be able to surface new opportunities. तंत्रज्ञान शाप की वरदान ह्याच्यावरती आपण बरेच दशक डिबेट केलेली आहेत. ते दुधारी शस्त्र आहे. But if you put a grip to that, understand it actually helps you benefit. So in short term, probably it may have an impact because of the automation. but the youth has to start innovating and thinking. And hence it is not only skilling and finding a job, but it is identifying that what is a problem that I can solve with technology, and how can I solve that problem locally, nationally, and globally. That will give you a better growth prospect.
Yeah, thank you. It was quite elaborate explanation. Mr. Abhinav Tiwari, one of the participants, he wants to know in simple terms what is incubator in agriculture.
Well, incubator is basically a facility that is promoted by the government, by the university or institution, where it is a physical facility infrastructure and some technological setup, which helps the young entrepreneurs, faculties to do research, right? It is like, when you create, cricket is a practice ground, right? It is like a practice ground for innovators. Now, if I have an idea, I'm third year or a fourth year engineering student, and I have an idea of how can I use drones for soil testing, for example, right? For that, what I need is I need office, I need laptop, and I need some technicians, because I might have agriculture knowledge, but I'm not a software engineer. So I need somebody who will understand how drones work. I need somebody, mobile programmer, he can actually build a mobile app. So I can buy physical drone, put that onto the farm, capture that data. So I need data engineer also. So if I need these 3-4 skills, some equipment, some facilities to shape up my idea as innovation. Now what these incubators do is that there's a physical facility infrastructure that government will encourage you to invest, and any innovator has to submit their idea. The applicant's idea, if it is approved by the incubator, they get kind of an incubated office, a workplace where they can learn and they can practice. So this is for research, or this is what we call as a MVP, the minimum viable product, when you're ideating and doing rapid prototyping, and when it is before your commercial use. Now, out of 10 ideas, probably 6 might not be feasible. 2 ideas may fail, and only 2 ideas will succeed and go to the commercial production. But what happens if I'm investing my every saving onto an idea for experimentation or a failure? To minimize that risk, government gives funding to universities and incubations so that they can create these facilities and infrastructure for innovators, and only the qualified approved applicants can avail these benefits, right? So it is kind of a linkage. It is a bridge between the innovator to become entrepreneur, right? So the student to incubation or incubating to a startup. These are
Sir, you lost your voice. Kindly unmute yourself.
Shinde sir, can I reply to the earlier question?
Yeah, no problem. Yes.
Okay, so with you and Prashant's permission. So Prashant, I believe you're not speaking and I'm not.
Yeah, I think my speaker got on mute.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are
do you want to continue?
Incubators. There are also private incubators. So what happens if I have an idea and any private company can also invest in me, but if I do not want to dilute my equity, or I want to rope in, if I want to sell or do my business in collaboration with government or some public sector unit, the incubators also allow entrepreneurs to control or protect their equity position. And it is like, every rupee saved is also a rupee earned. So if I have to invest in, building office hardware, if that can be given, right, that can be given by the incubator, that helps me in saving that cost. I hope I have answered the question. Yeah, Makaran, over to you. You were making a point.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prashant. So I think the earlier question was about whether innovation will affect negatively the small farmers. I think we have to understand something very important here. We have to understand that innovation has to happen in a frame of reference. We'll have to say that, okay, I'm going to innovate within this frame. And this frame can be defined with innovation objectives. So I can say that when I innovate, I want to create something for those small farmers, 80% farmers that we talked about, where we said that they'll have less than 5 acres of land. So innovation doesn't really mean everything goes to a higher scale. So for the small farmers also innovation can be made. And that's precisely the point. If you look at the Western countries, a lot of their agriculture is actually commercial. There are very few farmers actually doing it. And those who are doing it, their farmlands go into hundreds or thousands of acres. What we are saying is when we innovate, when we are going to create something new, we'll have to keep this objective in mind that the end product of my innovation has to benefit the small farmer that I'm talking about. Now, if you have clearly defined your innovation objective, you'll probably get a result based on that. Let me give you an example. So I think when I came into business back in 1994, if I wanted to take a photocopy, I would have to go to the nearby shop and give him my papers and say, even to get just one page photocopied, I had to go out. Then we got a fax machine, and on that fax machine, I could make a photocopy. But today, if you look at it, we actually get a printer which is suitable for what they call as a SOHO segment, which is a small office, home office segment. Correct? Now, within the SOHO segment, the printer that I get, it does printing, it does scanning, also does photocopying, and I get all that at the cost of only 6,000 rupees, and then I have to fill the ink. That's it. My cost of photocopy has come down, my convenience has gone up. Now, we have already defined SOHO as a segment in business. Why are we not defining small farmer as a segment? And then we do innovation, we'll say that X number of programs or X percentage of our innovation will and should happen for small farmers. So on the contrary, I would say that yes, innovation, if done with the proper objectives within the proper well-defined framework, will have extremely innovative products coming out. Innovation doesn't have to be against somebody. And that's the reason we are saying that Atmanirbhar Bharat, we will have to do it here. We'll have to do it based on our needs, because somebody else will do it at some other level. And then it will be, coming down to us. It will just spread because the world is flat. And that's going to have a negative impact. We'll have to remember the local conditions, local objectives, local compulsions, local social requirements, and innovate within that framework. So back to you.
Thank you, Makaran, for a very nice explanation about the incubator and its importance for the young graduates. Now, we will be closing this question answer session here. We have a few questions more left, but we will divert those questions, or we will email those questions to the experts, and we will give the answers to the participants. Now, Shubhangi, next. Please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Dr. K.P. Vishwanatha, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith, Rahuri, to enlighten us with few words. Sir, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All the three expert speakers, keynote speakers, friend from Oman, Sri Abdullah Al Maruki, and Prashant Fansare, Makarand Pandit, and our national coordinator, Dr. Prabhat Kumar, both our directors, Dr. Gadak and Dr. Farande, our CAST team headed by Dr. Gorantiwar, supported by Dr. Shinde, and all the participants, very particular. This is a sort of, our people used to give a different name. Earlier it was training, and earlier now, then webinar. Now, today we are calling it as a symposium. Whatever you call it, the title itself is Decoding Agritech to Shape Up New India. It is the topic. And I think whenever something is coded, see, the meaning is the technology is in the code form. You need to decode it to understand to the normal or average man, average human beings. And also, I'm happy that the topic is covered by very well by Mr. Makarand Pandit about the role of incubators in agritech. And this whole thing is revolving around the Atmanirbhar Bharat, very recently given by our Honorable Prime Minister. And what is Atmanirbhar? Self-reliant. If you look back, when we got independence in 1947, our population was around 33 crore, and we struggled almost 3-4 decades to feed our population. Especially in 60s, I think we were depending for our food, for our survival, the other countries. But then slowly the India, because of the Green Revolution, initiation, Grow More Food, PL 480, so many projects by the government, we gradually moved, or you can see achieved self-sufficiency. And today we have seen all revolutions, green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution, yellow revolution. Till 2016, we were importing pulses. Even after 2016, in the last 3-4 years, even we have become self-sufficient in pulses also. But what is exactly Atmanirbhar means? We have been discussing about this one. When farmers when all this happened, self-sufficiency and everything, the farmers who are contributing to this national bowl, food bowl, fruits bowl, vegetable bowl, all this production, if you ask, are they happy? The question is this one. So what has been all these days? Agriculture has been a subsistence profession all these days, but we need to convert agriculture into a business. Then only agriculture or the farmers can be happy. So that's why in future, our target is not the production, total production, it is the income that is farmer getting. So that way, the role of smart agriculture enters. So I think we have been telling many things. I think Prashant Pansare's presentation about the future agriculture. That means I don't know, because we in the university only, we have a technology with our agricultural engineers, but our other scientists, seed production people, other people, even I have seen our agronomists, they are employing small individual laborers for weeding. Though there is a machine is there. But means what I wanted to stress upon all the participants, all especially my colleagues, is the technology is there on one side, but it has to reach to the common man. And one question was there, interesting question, whether it is useful, negative for the individual or small farmer. Fortunately, unfortunately, because of the social system, each year after year, the land holding is decreasing. That means the size of the holding, it is increasing. As the data given by our Makarand Pandit, the farmers are 80% of the farmers are having less than 5 acres, and the average holding of, even take for example Maharashtra, it is 1.4 hectare at present. Maybe after 20 years, it will again, the children will get their share and it will still go down. And what about these farmers? But there are some solutions. For that, the solution is what the government is thinking, and also success is the farmers producers company or farmers producers organization. So the small farmers should come together, should join together and take agriculture as a business, use the technology, and adapting this technology in implementing and looking agriculture as a business. For that, it is the need of the present and future. And what is happening? Some people are telling about the role, what is the role of, it's a common incubation. See, for everything there is an incubation. Incubation must have come from the word. We have a period. For example, insects, they have an incubation period. Microbes, they have an incubation period. Human beings, they have an incubation period. So business, agri-business, for them to start, they need hand-holding support. For that, he has given the example of ICRISAT. I think it is quite old. Now, very recently, we have decided, there is a discussions are going on, all agricultural universities should have incubation centers. Because agricultural universities have been the technology generating units that are, you can say, the technology generators or ICR institutes all these days. But these technologies, how to reach the farmers? The one is extension, the technology transfer. But extension, the adoption of the those technology depends on techno-economic feasibility. That means if it is profitable, they will adapt. The simple example is the shift of Kharif sorghum into soybean, especially in most of the Maharashtra. Because farmers felt growing soybean is more profitable and less risky for them in place of sorghum. They thought it is assured and less risk, they shifted. So that's why even the BT cotton, when it was introduced, officially it was not introduced, but it was useful for them, and they have started adapting because the insecticide spray was and very good control was there and it was profitable, they adapted. Like that, we have the examples. But what is happening for a small farmer? We need to reach that and the technology. But integrating the model which Mr. Prashant Pansare was giving, it is a sort of what we can say, all that model, the tractor and everything, we have the technology. But how that adoption of the technology by the average farmer is a question. It is challenging for all of us. For that, what we need to do is, taking each technology, we have to encourage more and more our future young students and young agri graduates go into the agri entrepreneurs. So I was very much happy that Pandit has given a very good one. The startup, especially the student ready program. It is going on in the final year. The 5th Dean's Committee of the ICR has given more focus on the skill India, skill and the technology that is generated has to be adapted by our students. Most of our experiential learning programs are based on that. And see, we especially in our Pune Agricultural College, I can quote the mushroom cultivation. At least it is going on every Saturday. They are going on. Some of the people, they have invested crores of rupees and they are running crores of business by mushroom cultivation. That is one example. And also, especially the high-tech floriculture, which is going on in the last 15-20 years in Pune, we have this one. And most of the entrepreneurs, and that's why Pune has become hub of floriculture. It's flourished. So that way, these are the one or two live examples. But the limit is huge. But only thing is, there is one side, there is a technology. There is one side, there is a young brains. But everybody wants easy thing, quick result. But unfortunately, unless you take risk, unless you enter it, and unless you take a bold step, it is very difficult to start, give any question. So there comes the role of incubation centers. So that way, I'm thankful to both the experts. They have started their own the firms, and so they are supporting the small entrepreneurs in their own way. I think all of us should come together and encourage our youngsters. We need to identify each technology which is viable, and also it again depends on the market. And whatever the product which you are going to develop by using the technology, it has to be marketable. And people, there is a domestic market, there is an export market, there is a huge scope. But only thing is, for that there is a market survey should be there. And then that incubation center will support these incubatees with all these things. That is the technology, the viable, identify a suitable technology for a modern, for which can sustain their business, and we help them in market survey, and making them give a infrastructure and place them to start that business startup, and then till they do their own condition, the support will be given by that. That's why most of we have applied for the financial support from both to the state government as well as the ICR to start all 4 agricultural universities. We have applied for this one. I think because of the COVID, otherwise we would have got that by now. I think in future it is a need of the day that we need to take up. But there comes, when you see the agricultural technology or the agriculture as a business and make use of this technology into, then only you can bring all this into this one, and in a proper shape, and there the role of all the people comes together. I'm very happy. I think there were almost 360 people who have registered on this one. Now it has come down. I think it's a good attempt by our casting. Thanks to Dr. Gorantiwar and all the 3 speakers, friend from Oman also. They have spoken very well. And I think still there is a long way to go. Still there is a long way to go. Nowadays, people are telling organic. And see, unfortunately, we are forgetting everybody is telling about green revolution, effect. That was the need of those days. Those 2 decades, 2-3 decades, need was there. We had to. But unfortunately, the indiscriminate use of pesticide, indiscriminate use of fertilizer, and because they want to grow more, they want to grow this one. See, even I am seeing people, some of the competition, this one, unfortunately, they take for example sugarcane, and there is a record production of 138 tons per acre, and that record is broken by another farmer, 160, and now they have a target of making 200 tons per acre. So that is the potentiality is there, hidden potentiality, genetic potentiality is there. But we need to look into this one. I think with the smart agriculture and especially the precision agriculture, we have seen, I think in Baramati, I have seen the technology, even in the greenhouse technology, the controlled technology, there is a huge gap between this one. They say, we are telling 4 to 5 times. And some people, especially with the Israel technology and this one, there is a possibility of scope for enhancing 12 to 15 times. That is there. But as rightly mentioned by one of the speaker, that the potentiality, in terms of the yield and this one, we are yet to achieve it. There is a lot of scope. I think it is the good message for all the youngsters, especially our future agricultural students and future graduates, to take up this. I think not only MPKV, including ICR and the state government, they want to have. The only thing is, you should encourage more and more of agri entrepreneurs, and we should encourage more and more of farmers producers company, FPOs, and through this, I think we can tackle the problem of the small farmers. And also the most important thing is the post-harvest management. I think what is happening in our country is we are wasting almost 25 to 40% of the produce which we are producing. It is being wasted in handling. And we don't have proper storage facility. We don't have proper post-harvest post-value addition, the food this one. So there is a huge scope in that. So I think there is a technology, but that has to reach to the common path. Then only it will help to the farmers and it helps to the small farmers. For that, I think more and more of youngsters should come forward. And if individually it is not possible, I think 2, 3, 4 people, even 10 people can join together. You can make a group and take this technology. I think the people like the Makaran Pandit and Pansare, they will support this one. And our university is always there to give a forum or the platform for you to start to make your this one. I think in future, that is the need of this one. I think that way, this attempt of this one-day national symposium online, I think many of the people are listening, and thanks to these experts, and there is a lot to do this, and but there is a lot of scope, and also there is a lot of you can have a good future for the startups and this one. That way, decoding agritech for technology for the common man, common farmer is most needed. And I think we are almost nearing to the closing time, also touching 1:55 or so. And thanks to all concerned, I'm happy. One of our madam, she's Monica Shivaji Mohite. She's an entrepreneur, and she started very good startup. I saw many products, organic products, and so on. We should encourage such people. And to this one, madam, I expect you to support some of the small farmers in your area around you, especially the women folk, because agriculture is dependent on women folk. I think people should. Another example is our Swati Singade. Yesterday, she had sent one WhatsApp. She has introduced one tomato variety, which is growing, giving almost 60 kilo per plant, and it grows about 40 feet height with a support. So that way, I am very happy. There are so many innovators, especially the lady farmers, and I wish you make use of this, and it is a sort of encouragement and also inspiration for the most of the youngsters. And thank you, Mr. Makaranji, and also Pansareji, and thank you, Abdullahji, from Oman for joining from this one. And we will work together and see that our small farmers and our young graduates will be benefited from this. I think the only thing is future of agriculture and also food security is needed. As long as man needs food, there is a lot of scope for agriculture. Only we have to bring in the technology and also the business together and make it successful. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. You are always been source of energy for us. There is a short announcement. It is humble request to all the participants, those who are attending symposium on 3 different platforms, that is Zoom, YouTube, Facebook. Please fill your attendance by provided link in chat box to ensure your certificate, and it will be valid 45 minutes after the program. Now I will request to Dr. S.R. Gadak sir, Director of Research and Director of Extension Education, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith Rahuri, to extend the vote of thanks. Sir.
Good afternoon to all of you, friends. Today we are in validity function of one-day online national symposium on decoding agritech towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and on this occasion, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Chief Guest, convener, or on the other convener, other delegates and participants of this national symposium. I am here to present vote of thanks. First of all, I am thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K. P. Vishwanath sir, who is presiding over the valedictory function, and it is under the guidance and motivation of Honorable Vice Chancellor that we are organizing this type of online training program, symposium, webinar through class program in this pandemic situation. And also, Honorable Vice Chancellor, congratulate to our Vice Chancellor, Dr. K. P. Vishwanath sir, for getting the prestigious award, Vice Chancellor award. Yesterday they got, and wish you all the best for future career, sir.
Thank you.
On behalf of MPKV Rahuri, with thanks to the chief guest of this function, Mr. Makarand Pandit, Principal Trainers and Managing Director, Techno Rights Private Limited, Pune, and Mr. Prashant Pansare, Managing Director, Interlement Group, Founder and CEO, Rubiscase, who have delivered the keynote speech in this national symposium. Thanks to the Honorable Dr. Abdullah for delivering the very good speech, keynote speech on this subject. And we are grateful to the Dr. Prabhat Kumar, National Coordinator, CAS and NAIP ICR at New Delhi, for addressing and participating on the Atmanirbhar Bharat and also guiding our CAS program of our university. He is always with us. Thank you, Prabhat Kumarji. Thanks to the engineer Avinash Deshmukh, Brain Smart Solution, Pune, for their proposed collaboration with the MPKV for the incubation and startup. Thanks to my colleagues, Dr. Ashok Parande, for his participation. Thanks to the co-convener of the Dr. S.D. Warantiwar, PA of the CAS project, and organizing secretary, Dr. Mukul Shinde, and all these colleagues, Dr. Co-PI of the CAS project, and all the program coordinator of this national symposium. Lastly, on behalf of MPKV, thanks to all participants, staff, and students in this national symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, Sevak, just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Avinash Deshmukh, Prashant, and Makarand, if you want to have last line with our Honorable Vice Chancellor, in respect of any future ideas you have with for collaboration with MPKV for this incubation and all these things.
Thank you, Avinash ji. And our university is always open for a possible collaboration to help the farmers. And thank you for joining and jointly organizing this. And we will continue to work in future also. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
you, Makaranji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate your support in this initiative. And we look forward to this industry and academia joint venture kind of thing, which is the need of the hour. Thank you so much for your interest and support.
Thank you. Thank you, all the three of you.
Thank you.
Sir, shall we end, sir?
Yeah.
You can leave. Yeah.
Yes, sir. With the permission of chair, I declare the end of online national symposium. Thank you all for being with us. See you soon in another CAST Climate Smart Agriculture Water Management programs. Thank you very much and have a nice day to all.